Are we on? Yes. For some reason, I'm not moving on my screen though, so I hope you can hear me. I don't know what's happened with that. Normally, I'm moving on the screen. I seem to have frozen. Not sure why. I seem to only have the sound. I don't know what's happened there. If anybody knows what I've done. Camera's on. Definitely. Have a look. See if I can figure it out because I've got things I want to talk about today. Seems to be pause. It's not good. I've got things I want to talk about, but I want to check I'm working first. So why am I paused? I did move. Oh, yes, what's going on? USB not recognised. Ah, that's the problem. That's something's going on now. I've obviously pressed something. Let's see. USB not recognised. Really don't want that. Ah, right, okay. No, that's nothing to do with anything. Why am I frozen today? Ah, Sarah Jane, hi. Can you actually see me moving? Because my screen, what I'm seeing, I'm frozen. So hopefully you can hear me. But is my picture frozen? Because I've got things I want to talk about today, but I want to make sure it's actually working. I haven't done this before. Yes, moving just fine. My screen. Oh, well, why am I not moving on my screen? I've been doing 2 or 3 little tests and they've all been fine. Do you have any idea what I've done? Hi AK, I don't know you, so welcome. I'm Dawn, I'm in Cyprus. I've been doing a few little tests on both this and StreamYard the last couple of days just to see how things are going. And I thought today I'd talk about a subject. Don't know much about YouTube streaming. No, I'm new to it, but it's quite good fun. I just can't understand why my screen's frozen, but hopefully one of my techie friends will be on soon if they see it. Hope I'm in a good position on the screen because, as I say, I can't see. Anyway, what was I going to say? Yes, I'm doing this little thing. I'm trying to make some of my lives different. Yes, we can just chit chat as well, but I want to theme each one in a different way. So sometimes I might tell you more about me and tell you a story, which I actually did in my last one briefly. And I'm calling it, I can't see the screen. This is the problem now. So what I've got is I've got a hat here. I'll tell you because I can't see what I'm showing you. I've got a hat on a tray. And each time I'm going to come on and say what's under my hat. And whatever's under my hat will be a story or a subject that I want to talk about. So under the hat today was a bug, but it's run away. Ha ha. So I thought today we'd talk about bugs because I know a lot of my followers are homesteaders or gardeners. So I thought I would tell you about different deterrents for bugs that I use. And the reason I'm doing this is it's 8:30 in the morning here and I've got a friend coming in maybe a couple of hours. So I've been rushing around trying to do bits and pieces I wanted to do today because then I'm going down the stables for lunch. I've been invited down there. So I wanted to kill some time. I thought, I'll sort out all my slips of paper. I write down different deterrents to get rid of bugs. So I thought I'll go through those. I thought, hey, why not just sit here and read them through on a live and actually collate them another time. So jump in if you want to ask anything or if you've got anything to share. And it's just, as I say, slips of paper I've got that I do want to make into videos, but I've got camera issues at the moment. So I'm just going to read you off my slips of paper all my little ideas I've collected. And the first one is how to make fly paper strips so that you can hang up and get rid of your flies. So it's 2 tablespoons of sugar, 2 tablespoons of any type of syrup, and 2 tablespoons of any type of honey. Then you stir those up, microwave it for 45 seconds, re-stir again, let it cool, and then cut your strips of paper of grocery bags. You know, the brown bags. If you're American, then you know these brown grocery type bags. Cut strips of those and apply a little bit of the mix to each of them, and then hang them up just to get rid of any excess so it can kind of drip off. And then simply place a paper clip through each one and hang them in your trees or garden or whichever areas on your patio or whatever. So that's my tip of how to make fly paper strips at barely any cost. Hi Melody, hello. I'm frozen on my end, but Sarah Jane tells me she can see me and hear me fine. So I apologise if I'm not in the right point of the screen. If you know anything, how I can unfreeze it this end, I'm just frozen on the screen. So do you know anything? It's 8:42 here in Cyprus in the morning. Tell everyone where you are, where you're from. And guys, if you've got channels, just put a little bit about what your channels are. I'm assuming those of you with just your initial normally aren't channels. Sarah Jane, you need to get some films up there. That would be really great. So today, Melody, I'm just talking about little tips for getting rid of bugs. But if you want to ask other things or talk about anything else, that's fine. So it's just little slips of paper I've got that at some point I need to make into videos. Look good. Huntsville, Arkansas. Oh, great. What time is it there, Melody? Sarah Jane's in Australia. I'm just going to see if I can actually use my scroll here. No. Oh, yes, I can. Yeah, that's working just about fine. 3:42 p.m. in Oz, Sarah Jane. 12:42. So I'm just making notes of this for now, so I can see. Oz Sarah Jane is 3:42. Melody. Oh, Estonia. Oh, hello. Oh, it's such a beautiful place, Estonia. Melodies. What time's Melody? I've lost it. 3. Oh no, it's Sarah Jane. 12:42. And your Huntsville. I'm getting annoyed with my frozen screen. And AK. 8:43. Estonia. Is that AM or PM? I'm trying to think. It's probably AM, isn't it? Okay, guys, so I'm going to read some more slips of my paper. Just a little tips I've collected on bugs. Some of my tips that I've just put down and some other things I've come up with. Carnations. Grow some carnations. These will keep bugs away from particularly your peppers and tomatoes. And this was sent to me recently from one of my viewers, Della Smalley. So Della, if you see this at some point, thanks for that tip. That has been shared. Mice control. or you poor Aussies. I've seen on our news here, we've seen a lot about that, and I believe it started one side of your country and it's basically over the other side now. So mice control, probably not a lot of help for the amount some of you guys have. Plain flour and bicarb mix, so mix them together. Plant raised areas when growing corn, that does deter them a little bit rather than straight into the ground. And try and plant them out only when they're well established. So don't put the sweet corn seeds straight into the ground. Wait till they're well established and then plant them out. That helps a little bit. And sprinkle lime into sweetened soil, and that will help soak up the water as well. So hopefully that helps a little bit. What else do I have here? Flies. For flies, white sage incense. So if you can get yourself any of that, or some of you maybe make these kind of things, that is a help for flies. What else have I got? As I say, it's lots of scraps of paper, scribble, but I must collate all these. Ant trails. Put cinnamon powder on the ant trails, and actually I put one yesterday for a friend of mine. I use round sort of the back door and that. I've got stone steps, and I do a really thick chalk line. Obviously if it gets wet or worn out you have to replace that. If you put a really thick chalk line on, ants don't like to cross a chalk line, so that's quite good. Thanks Melody, nice tips. Have you got any? Drop them down. As I say, I'm just really filling in time till my friend arrives, so I was going to just try and collate these and put all the same bug on the same page, write them all out, but I thought, hey, let's jump on live and just read them out. Mid-South Homestead, hello. We have Japanese beetles. Oh, maybe I've got a sheet of paper here with something on those. Let me write you down. My screen's frozen, so I'm apologising. I can't see anything, or I can. I'm frozen when I first turned it on, so I do apologise. So I'm glad I'm not showing anything today. I'm just speaking. What time is it there? West Tennessee. Say we know that. Japanese beetles. I'll write that in brackets. Then if I don't find a sheet of paper on it today, because I just want to read these out today, I'll see what I can find and do something on my channel on it for you. Ticks, nasty ticks. Yes, Colin, if you've looked at my videos, he's not really our cat, but he's ended up living here. His name was actually Waffles. 12:48 AM. Thank you very much. Yes, he has come in with a few ticks now, so I'm looking for natural treatments of that, because we've got two cats anyway. We've got Fossil and Pebbles, and although we don't have long grass here, we try and keep it down. We're in a very rural area, so of course they go and pick it up. And also we have roaming sheep here as well. Here the sheep and the goats, the farmers just let out to roam. They don't go around with them, and they literally walk huge areas around here unaccompanied. They have the bells on, and what one of the goat farmers does, he actually walks around when they're first born, and he sort of gives them a route, and they always do that route more or less, although we often find an odd one that hasn't followed the bells. And I said to him, oh, the bells for the clever ones, and they all follow. He said, no, they're the stupid ones, and the others hopefully stay with the bell. Anyway, some more bug tips. Let's see. Did I say cinnamon powder on ant trails? I think I said that one. Anti-pest in general, lemon geraniums. I'm not sure if that's what you call them. When you smell the leaves, they actually smell really lemony. And I actually have these on my patio growing. I'll probably film them at some point. If you've gone to my other channel, Tranquility Through Life's Natural Beauty, my actual flowers and plants I put on that channel. and this channel's the growing the vegetables and crops and fruit trees more. So on that one, I'm sure at some point there will be other plant videos, a general update, what's growing, what's in bloom. The lemon geraniums will be there. They're quite invasive, so I keep them in pots mostly, and they have little tiny purple flowers at the moment. As I say, if you put them in a breeze, it's wonderful, because the mozzies, particularly me, they don't like to come too near. Coffee powder or coffee granules on broccoli. I grow a lot of broccoli, and I would say that's probably the thing I would most likely get bugs in. But since I've been growing onion or garlic in and around them, same with the carrots, I don't really get much pest, butterflies, moths, those kind of things. And eggshells, yes, I use eggshells a lot, so I put them around the bottom. I've got some chard now growing in a new thin long roof scout bed, and that started to get nibbled on the bottom because it was sort of quite flat on the ground, that roof bed. And I break up eggshells and put those all round and break them up really small. I've seen some people use eggshells as a tip, and they say, oh, it doesn't really work. You've really got to make them minute crushed and think it's like little shards of glass for any bugs to stand on. So that's pretty good. Yes, as I said, for caterpillars on things of broccoli and any other thing, these things are really good. Yes, I have those stripy caterpillars, so they're the ones to get rid of. And in America, the Americans call it something better. I think it's stinky bugs, you call it, like the little bugs. There's different varieties of this bug, I know, but the ones we get here are very bright green, and they smell really sweet, the bug, when they're in the room, or if they sit on your light bulb, you can smell the heat. So we get those sometimes on tomatoes, so all these tips are also good for tomatoes. Beetle bugs on tomatoes and all types of caterpillars. And obviously you want to deter the butterflies coming in the first place. If you can net things, then that's great. That's going to be your best way. And I've actually salvaged, someone dumped an old fridge, and I've got like it's not glass, the Perspexy, whatever it is, type shelves you get. And I actually use those, even if they've got a ridge on the shelves. I use them upside down, particularly when I'm germinating new seeds or wintering out plants. And I put these over, and also that, of course, stops the bugs coming. So that's pretty cool. Oh, we've got 5 watching. If you all hit the thumbs up, guys. No, 2 thumbs up. So don't forget, hit that little thumbs up for me. That really helps. We're just talking about bugs. I don't know when the 5 popped on, but we're just talking about bugs and different deterrents for bugs. What else? Oh yes, I've got about bagworms. I want to do a whole video on bagworms. If you don't know what they are, they're the things on mostly pine trees, and you sometimes see them. They look like almost a dried up, curled up small bit of leaf, and you'll sometimes see the little head of the bagworm poking out. But I want to definitely do a whole video on those, because I can show you those as well. What else? Another scrap of paper. The one thing I hate is sorting out paperwork. I've always been mostly self-employed all my life, and doing like the accounts and tax forms and a pain, really a pain. That just says what I haven't edited yet. Let's see, I've got a video I've got to finish editing on the hummingbird hawk moths. Actually, I think I posted that. Yes, I've actually got a playlist, I think, of friend or foe, and I'm going through every single separate bug, so to identify them and that. And I've also got one, yes, the carpenter bee, which is like a black beetle looking bee type thing, and that nests in burrows in dead wood. bamboo, timber. Some actually have yellow markings on their head as well. So I've got a note here to make a film on that. So I won't go into that. Our hornets here. I think I've just posted that at some point. Agatha Barkridge, hello, I don't know you. Welcome. This is Cyprus and we're talking about bugs today, different natural deterrents. So if you can let me know what country you're from and the time it is there, it's very helpful. It's 8:55 a.m. in Cyprus here. And also, if any of you guys have got a channel, put a little bit, just briefly, what it's about. And then I'm pretty sure some of you will go and check out each other's channels, because I'm here to build a community and share new channels. So I do write all your names down. And if you've got a channel, I'll go and have a look and subscribe to you. Okay, what else? Oh yes, we've talked about the Oriental Hornet. I have made a video on that and I actually got stung by one. The things I do for you to make videos. It wasn't making that actual video. It was one I talked about on the video saying about be careful when you pick pomegranates, for example, or figs, that you don't reach your hand round and grab it, because they might be round the other side inside. And it was actually, I did the thing that I say be careful of, and I was picking an old dead one off that had been eaten, and there was one right inside and it flew out. It stung my leg. I don't have allergic reactions to things, but it was on the top of my thigh and it swelled so quickly, and it was just take over my leg. My leg really swelled up and the redness just spread. So here our pharmacies are like qualified doctors. So if you want to know something quickly or you've got a minor ailment, you don't go to a doctor, you go to the pharmacy. So I went to the pharmacy and she took one look and she called another lady over in the pharmacy. She go, oh, in Cypriot, she said, oh, look, this is really bad. And they just said, we're not even, because I said, should I have an antihistamine? And they're like, nothing, go to the hospital. And when I went to the hospital, they mark it all and measure it. And they said, you've got to sit here for 2 hours, just sit in the waiting room. And they have cameras in the waiting room. So I would say the waiting room is more like your sort of triage, if you like. So they keep their eye on you with the cameras. So if you suddenly passed out, they're quite aware. And she said sit there for a couple of hours, but she gave me anti-venom, like an antihistamine, but a really strong one. And it was so painful to start walking around and everything else. So you're aware of that. So that's Oriental Hornets, the ones we've got, and I have done a video on those. So check that out. They have a thick yellow stripe on the exoskeleton on the back of their body, and there's also some little brown dots there. They have a queen. They eat nectar, fruit, insects. They actually attack honeybees. So I've just been watching a channel where they found some, their queen bee was outside their beehive and it was dead. And they say wasps and these Oriental Hornets do go in and attack because they want the honey. So there's that. These Oriental Hornets also dig underground. They can dig into bark to make nest, or nest under the ground, or in tree hollows, or in paper. And if you're new on this channel right now, my screen has frozen, so I can't see myself. So I'm very grateful that today I thought let's hop on and talk about bugs. So I apologise if I'm not in the right place. Can you see me okay? Am I sort of in a fairly good position on the screen? What else? A homemade insect repellent. I'll just read out what I've written. Plunge a sprig each of thyme and rosemary into 300 ml of boiling water, leave to soak overnight, then put the infused liquid in a spray bottle and spritz on whatever you want to have your anti-bug repellent on. So I hope that's okay for you. What else? More scraps of paper. Should write a little book on all these, really. If any of you want to make a little PDF or like a little online book, grab all these ideas. Oh, that's about bagworms again, which, as I say, I want to make a video on it, so I won't bother reading all that for you. I will make a video. What else have we got here? Almond trees, peaches, nectarine trees. The main pest and diseases of those are your aphids and your red spider mite, and you get the curling up leaf, which is from disease or often because of those. And so aphid removal. Now I get these a lot on roses, so I just get some washing up liquid. I like to use it actually neat. It's probably more expensive to do it that way. Need to go. Oh, bye Sarah Jane, thanks so much for popping on. Hit the notification bell because I'm not putting up a notice to say I'm going live, because it's so difficult for me to post something. It takes so much time. So I'd rather just pop on a live and see who bounces on. So nice to see you. Hope you're doing well. So yes, the aphids I actually use for neat washing up liquid. You can dilute it, but I like to put some neat washing up liquid on a paper towel, kitchen towel, and then literally, I don't know if you can see me and what I'm doing, I bend it in half with the liquid on all of it, and then just wipe down the stem. And as long as you get the stem, they're not really going to go on the blossom, because a lot of them go up and down. You'll find it's the stem that needs to be treated more. You also get aphids on marigolds and alyssum and those sort of flowers as well. So no, what am I talking about? You don't get them on those. That's anti-aphids, your marigolds and alyssum. So plant your marigolds and alyssum near to any vegetables, and that will encourage the predators that will go and eat them, such as ladybirds, and then they will eat their aphids and other damaging bugs. So your ladybirds are your friends, they really are. They'll eat all your aphids up. So if you can plant anything that encourages ladybirds, such as marigolds and alyssum, then that is great. Also, this washing up liquid, you have so many fire ants. Now, this isn't something I have here, so I will go through and read everything I have already on these sheets, and I will also, I've got other information elsewhere, so I will look into that for you. So check my channel out again, and I will look up for you your Japanese beetles and fire ants if there's nothing here, because I tend to only write down things that are a problem here for me. So I'm saying I will possibly have answers for you, but not on these sheets. So they're horrible, aren't they? They really bite. And I believe in some countries, the fire ants, if you get too many bites, you can actually die. I think some more exotic countries, I believe you can actually die. Is that right? I think there's a certain type. Yeah, so your Aphid Remedy is also good for black fly, green fly and white fly. So this washing up liquid is great for that. And also, apart from trying to introduce and encourage ladybirds into your garden, hoverfly is also good. We don't actually have that, but if you can get hoverfly encouraged into your garden, they reckon they eat 5,000 aphids a year. They really love them. So this could be something for you. And the reason the aphids are so bad is because they cause young leaves and shoots. They curl up the tips of them, and then obviously they don't get the sun and the oxygen they need, and that's why your plant dies. Or the leaves become very sticky and sooty looking, so that could be because of aphids. The aphids can be white or small green, like some people say they're a type of green fly, or even grey in colour. And you'll actually find them first on the underside of the leaves. And that's why sometimes you suddenly look and there's loads of white fly or aphids or green fly. It's because they're underneath, first of all. So when you've got time and you just wander around your garden, just turn leaves over. This is the same with the caterpillars. The butterflies lay underneath the leaves. So this is why often you don't see the butterfly eggs or even the babies. And then you'll suddenly see the babies aren't baby caterpillars anymore. They're big and they're on the top. So always take time, walk around your garden. And also if your plants are too close together, your crops, the caterpillars for sure are going to move across from plant to plant. So remove and destroy any bugs as soon as they appear. Feels like wasp sting. Yeah, well, that's bad enough, isn't it? That's pretty bad. We released 3,000 ladybugs a couple of years ago. It does help. Well, I've heard this in America that you can buy all these bugs. I've watched a channel where ladies just bought, what are they? Praying mantis. She's bought a whole carton of, I think, 500 or something praying mantis, and she's released them all. I think this is a fabulous idea. I've never seen this before till I saw her video. So I'm guessing you buy those then with South Homestead, and how much would they be if you buy them? But it's certainly worth it, I would think, and I love natural deterrents. So what else do we have here? Apples and pears. If you grow apples and pears, you can get pear midge. They're prone to red spider mite, aphids, scale and apple sucker, caterpillars eating the leaves, winter moth, capsid bugs, scale insects, apple mildew, that's probably the worst, and scab disease, apple sawfly, fruitlets, codlin moth, woolly aphid, which some of you call American blight, and brown rot and bitter pit. Lovely. The apples and pears, the birds are also a problem because they damage the buds in the winter. You got them on Amazon. Oh, you can get Amazon $30 2 years ago. Now it's 75. Do you think that's something to do with the fact that there's so many more people gardening and homesteading now? Or is there some shortage on them? Or they're just putting their price up now they've got customers? I think that's a brilliant idea. Can you breed them? That would be good if you could figure out, or you know how to breed ladybirds, and you sell them for $50. I don't know anything about breeding those. That could be interesting to look at, couldn't it? Oh, set yourself up a little business there. Yeah, go say for $50. It can't be that much to actually raise them, can it? Just let them have all your crops, all your aphids. Oh, that's an idea, isn't it? Yes, so birds can damage your apples and pears. So again, as I've said, try and use netting or fruit cages for small trees, or you can get rayon web from garden shops. I don't know if you know what that is. There's all different sorts of things, and I'm pretty sure you can salvage and find things. I've been using net curtains. I don't know if you know what net curtains are. It's an English thing, I think. It's like not lace, but it's that kind of look that English houses used to put in their front room and bedroom windows. It's a type of, they call it net curtain. It's not per se net. And it was so inside, like nosy neighbours could look out and people outside couldn't see them looking. For your trees, also clean the bark of off of any lichen and moss, which obviously that will cause damage. Just a little bit on trees. If you have emojis, you will have ladybugs. What are nematodes? What are they? It's obviously a type of bug, is it? Is it a species? This is the trouble as well. We say things different and call things different. Even things like our crops. I think it's peppers you call capsicum, is it? And it's just getting used to what everyone calls things. Even these bugs, they have such different names. As I said earlier in this feed, we talk about stink bugs, I think the Americans call them. We don't use, and even plants. Goodness me, just the plant names. Let's see what else we've got. To stop butterfly eggs. I've talked of this briefly before. How to stop butterflies. Garlic, chili and onions. You get all of those. Get them really fine down in a little bit of water. Strain it through with the boiled water, and that makes a good spray. So anything that smells basically pungent or anything. And I just plant garlic, chili and onions round a lot of my crops anyway. Tully fabric for weddings. Anyone sells it by the yard. It works good. I wrap my tomatoes and figs and secure with a clothespin. There you go. There's a good example of what we call different. Clothes peg, clothespin. Excellent. We know what we're talking about. That sounds good. Right, let's do Tully fabric. I think I know what that is actually. I've got, yeah. When you said for weddings, if you haven't put that up, you're like, what's that? Trouble is, here in Cyprus, if we order on Amazon, the shipping is quite expensive because even though we are in the EU and part of Europe, we're not counted as that when there's any shipping from anywhere. And where a lot of companies say we're shipped to Europe, they don't. They say, oh no, sorry, Cyprus. I don't know why. But anyway, and Amazon, so we have to pay expensive shipping. And then on top of that, when anything's imported from America, we get very high tax and they don't let all the stuff in. Depends what the items are. So we're very frugal here. We don't really buy things unless we really need to. I like to try and create, but I'll definitely look into that fabric. I'm sure that's something I could find scraps of maybe in material shops and that maybe. So I'll have to look for that. That's really good help. Thank you for that. If I use any tips I see here in the future, I will credit who's said it. That's why I sit and write down people's names, channel names and things. So I'm hoping you're a growing channel being hosted in your title. So I will definitely after this come and have a look at your channel and subscribe to you. So what else have I got here on my scraps? Oh, I've got identifying butterflies there. Can't show you that because I can't see what I'm doing on the screen. They make veils out of it. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, that is what I was thinking of the stuff. It is like netty, isn't it? Yes, that's a really good idea. And as you say, if you only want a small bit to put around a new plant or something, I'm sure if you contacted either a tailor or a dressmaker or a shop that makes their own wedding dresses, I'm sure you could take their little scraps, unless they probably use them to make little fancy things, but it's worth looking into that. Very good. Carrots to stop bugs. Plant onions with the carrots. It's a lot of these are interlinked. If your carrots are eaten underground, it's usually by slugs which burrow into the roots or the ground, and they eat the carrot below the ground. So it's good to know what's causing things sometimes. These are other tips I've got for things like to clean your chopping board of your smells of onions. Just rub half of a lemon on it, works really well. And I've got another tip for that I've got here. This is for some of the other tips. When I do weeding, if I want to get in between things, or just anyway, I want to get down, but I don't want to use a trowel. If your soil's hard, I use a screwdriver. Literally saved your crops last year. Yes, I bet it did. As they say, preparation is the key. So if you take time to do all these things, it's definitely worth it. Just put in some of that time. Ants, mosquitoes and flies. Grow different clumps of them. So I never grow, say, all my broccoli in one area. I've got different ends of my garden. You'll see if you look at my videos. I've got broccoli at one end, broccoli over here, broccoli there, which was a problem when I started to grow kohlrabi for the first time this year. It's a brassica, and obviously you can't grow that near broccoli. I was like, oh. So by spreading out all my broccoli, I've only got one area I felt was safe enough to grow the kohlrabi. So also the reason I grow in different areas is because I've got hugelkultur beds, rooted out areas, growing in tyres, raised beds, growing directly in the ground. And I like to put a little bit of it in each of those areas, just as comparison. I do a lot of comparisons on my channel, particularly growing the potatoes, which was a new thing for me. So I grew them in all the different areas, in container and everywhere, and just to see what crop of potatoes grew the best. And also, as I was saying, if you spread them all out, if one crop does get blighted for some reason by some pest, you've got other areas. Also, you can grow some earlies that you don't really want, and then grow some more after that later, and then hopefully the buggers have all come, dined on it and died off, and then your rest of your crops should be safe. Yeah, so really, if you're a gardener, I would say you must grow onions and chili and garlic, because even if you don't eat them, plant them all around. And obviously with those bulbs of the onions and the garlic, they're underground with the smell as well as the leaves on the top. So you're going to stop slugs a little bit more if you've got garlic and onions underneath, and obviously the chili on the top. And why not every now and then just come and go to your chili plant and just rub like this and let some seeds drop down, because the seeds have got a very potent smell too. So if they're sprinkled around on the ground, then they'll pop up and give you some more plants naturally. If you plant a full garden, we've learned that we have less bugs here in the south. Yes, that's what I was saying about plant some earlies and plant later. Yes, I'm planting all the time whenever I can. I'm not one of these gardeners that just plant the certain crop at a certain time. It's like here I've got some new shoots of cabbage and some new shoots of cauliflower. Now everybody says it's too early. You can't plant them in a hot country that we are until at least September, when it's still very hot. September and October and beginning of November is still very hot, but obviously they take time to grow. I've planted some now, and I've actually planted them between my red lettuce that I've let go to seed. So they're protecting them from the heat, because they have very tall stems now with the flowers going on the top. So that's going to protect them a little bit from the heat. And then I'll collect all the lettuce seeds, and by then we should be at a better time for them to grow through. So I'm not a great fan of only plant when it says, and this winter just gone, I actually did an indoor greenhouse. I've got a whole series on that, and it's literally my sun lounge, just planting seeds in. I used, if you look at the video, you'll see what I mean, but it's like the takeaway clear plastic. We get cakes in them, but all sorts of takeaway stuff. I get them, the clear plastic ones, and I used those. with the lid shut down to germinate seeds over winter that really wouldn't have normally have started. So yeah, planting all the time. But very good tip there, Mid-South Homestead. Plant the full garden. Yeah, it does. You're messing up the bug system a little bit. That's why that works. So that's a really great tip there. Thanks for that. General bug problems. Bugs that bore. You need to change the area of these crops or plants to be sure no bugs, larvae or eggs remain in the soil. So particularly I grow a lot of broccoli. If you've ever got any problem with the base of them or the root, get rid of them, burn them, destroy them. Grow several areas of the same crop. This is what I was speaking of. So if one area becomes infested, you still have more of that crop growing elsewhere. So I covered that. Mid-South Homestead says, if I pull a radish, I will put a seed right back in that spot. I carry a pack of seeds in my pocket. Oh, I love that, pack of seeds in your pocket. That's cool. Yes, I've picked 2 lots of beetroot now. And as you say, as soon as I pull them, I go and put some more in. But I also put some in before they're ready to pick. So I'm literally growing some, a few weeks later, put some more in, a few weeks later, more in. Then when that first crop's ready, then you've always got lots going on. So I know excited gardeners throw too many seeds down at once, which is fine if you're a prepper, but we really like to have everything quite fresh from the garden. So a few every week put down. And while we're talking of beetroot, it's probably an obvious thing, but when you're peeling it, cutting and peeling it, I put gloves on, like throwaway COVID gloves. So you just put those on, it stops getting the red. Yeah, carry a packet of seeds in my pocket. You've really got me imagining you carrying seeds around, so I have to come on your channel and see what you look like. What else? Oh, companion growing. I'm a big lover of that, as I've briefly talked about it. Put obviously your onion, chili, garlic, those kind of things with everything, which will repel things. But also looking to, depending on what you're growing, certain things thrive well together or attract the pollinators, whereas other things, as I've said about brassica, you can't mix them. But I do have a question, if any of you know. Like I've said, you can't mix, say, kohlrabi with, say, broccoli because it's cross-pollination. What happens if you do? Do you get a mutant, or do they just not do anything? I've asked quite a lot of gardening channels, particularly these channels that other people tell me they know everything and they're really good and professional. All the questions I ask those sort of channels, they don't know, so not sure. If I pour a radish, oh, just read that bit. I love beets. I don't like the staining. I leave the roots on them when I cook them, the whole root, and I don't cut the stems right down. So it does stop a lot of the bleeding. I boil mine, basically. And that does stop a lot of it. And then obviously, as you know, when they're cooked, the skins do just peel off easily with your hands, your fingers. It rolls off if you cook them well, which you obviously know if you do beetroot. And I even, when I finish boiling them, I tip the hot water away and then I put cold water on to cool them down. And then I do cut the roots off, cut the rest of the stems off, cut them in half, do it all in the saucepan, because you're going to have a little bit of red in that saucepan possibly anyway. So I do it all in there and then I tip the water outside over some plants or something. So that's quite cool. What else have we got? Where was I? Oh, companion plants. Yes. So obviously check what grows well and what encourages your pollinators to things that you need more. I've got videos up on hand pollinating. I've been doing a lot of that with my squash and zucchini, how I hand pollinate, because a lot of crops like melons, pumpkins, these kind of things, cucumber, they often have the female flower come much later, and some people have lost their male plants by then. So it's how I not only hand pollinate, but how I keep that pollen for when the female flowers come. Plus, even if your pollinating is going really well, I still like to hand pollinate because I can be sure every single one of those female flowers will produce. And I'm doing a challenge at the moment. I haven't put it up on my channel, but you can start doing it if you want, if you grow stuff. I've been taking photographs of my seed packet and then a photograph with the crop when I've harvested it with the seed packet. So it's like reality versus sort of produce. So if it's great, if it's bigger, if it's the same, did it look the same? Did it come out deformed? Did it not happen? So start saving your pictures up, everybody, of your seed packet with the harvested crop with the picture of the seed packet, or if you're buying seed from a garden catalogue, put the picture there. They're the ones sometimes give you fancy pictures and the crop doesn't always look the same. So start doing that. It's a great idea. But if you do any of my ideas, if you put a collaboration for Project Morph and go on my channel playlist for Project Morph, and it's a way I promote your YouTube channel. I make a whole video about your channel on my channel, a whole video just on your channel, all about you. And it's a collaboration of like-minded people. Mid-South Homestead, I think you'll be perfect for that. And then I set these challenges, and as long as you put Project Morph collaboration in your video and say it was my idea, I then link your video doing that on the bottom of my video doing that. You take a stick and duct tape a cotton ball to the end. To hand pollinate. Yeah, that's a good idea as well. And then you can just store those cotton balls in a jar. Yes, I use a paintbrush. Yes, cotton balls. That's a brilliant idea. That's great. What else have I got? I hope this is sort of, you probably know a lot of these things anyway, but it's good just to collate some of them. So I thought, I'm having trouble with my camera at the moment. If you've watched recent videos of mine, it's I need your help. And Colin the cat, I think it's the last one I've just posted. If you look at that, you'll see what my camera issues are. Where are we? Yes, introduce national predators. We've spoken of that, and beneficial insects that eat the boar bugs. So we've talked about that. Some people keep chickens, obviously, because they peck and eat all the insects. So there's these kind of things. Introduce herbs and other counteracting plants, such as poppies, to encourage good bugs, and nettles, which are liked by the ladybirds. Encourage the good bugs by making bug hides, or bug hotels people call them, where they leave like bricks with the holes in. Bricks, construction bricks with the holes in, and bugs like those, or you put a pile of wood, all these kind of things, but with caution, because I don't really like to do that because we have snakes. So some countries that works have these little hidey holes where the bugs can hide and make more bugs. With that will also then the bugs go in there in the winter and stay in your garden. Good uses of insects. They're decomposers, they're pollinators, and they're food resource for other animals. So there's that. Oh, some on the back of that one. Leaf bugs. To stop leaf bugs. Hose spray the plants with water from the bottom upwards, because obviously if you start at the top, they're going to fall to the ground and then they'll come back up onto your plants. Bugs should all move to the top, and then it's easy for you to get rid of them from the top. Smear Vaseline, or I think you call it petroleum jelly, on the base of plants under leaves, because as I said, it's the underneath of the leaves where the bugs and the eggs will always sit. So there's that. Natural spray remedies. Now, I think this is something you have in America. Captain Jack. Use Captain Jack's dead bug brew. It's organic. We don't have that, but someone's really recommended that at some point to me, so I wrote it down. They said it's the best. The main ingredient is sponge sage, which you can give to pets for flea and tick control. Oh, was it you saying about what's for ticks? I think it was you who said, how do you deal with ticks? Let me look. No, I didn't put that. Oh, was it you? Let me quickly run back the comments. As if it was Sarah Jane. I'll have to go and let her know. Someone asked about ticks. Ticks. Melody asked about ticks. I'll have to go on and let her know. Let me mark that one to tell her. See, I said to her, hang on, I might have to keep speaking. Okay. Tea and vinegar sprays. Make tea out of tomato leaves because they're toxic and spray your crops. That's a pretty good tip that you don't hear. Or dilute rubbing alcohol with water and spray that on your crops. Yeah, oh, you're still on, Melody. Good. Did you get that one? Hope that's helpful. I don't know if you can get it where you are or not. But as I say, it's if you could just get the chemical, or not the chemical, the ingredient, that's great. Or you can use 1 gallon of water, 8 ounces of any hot peppers or hot sauce, and 10 ounces of washing up liquid or dish soap, I think we call it. Spray the leaves, the stalks, and the base of plants with that. Encourage toads between the plants by putting water bowls there, rocks, broken clay pots, and other things like that, stones amongst your plants. We have some toads here. So, yeah, they are a help. Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. Bug removal on vegetables. Here's another recipe. 5 parts water, 2 parts rubbing alcohol, and a squirt of washing up liquid or dish soap. Tell me if there's something I'm saying, not sure what it is, because sometimes I forget to say what I think you know it as. Oh, cucumber beetle. Someone asked about that. Cucumber beetle. These are usually found on squash, zucchini, pumpkins, green beans, cucumber, broccoli. And you can identify them. One is spotted, but another one's striped. So you'll know that. I have done a video on this. My friend or foe, I remember this was probably the first video I did on bugs, I think. The damage they do, they suck the nutrients out of the leaves. They lay their eggs in the ground, and their larvae eats up the root system of the plant. They spread bacterial wilt to your plant, and the plant will die if not addressed. Remedies. Hoe frequently around the stem to disturb the beetles and stop the egg laying. Use yellow sticky traps, you know, like the fly things you hang up. And I've told you at the beginning of this feed how you can make your own ones. Knock off into a container of soap water. That's what I tend to do. Wood ash can be effective. Use yellow gloves coated in petroleum jelly. Plant curbit varieties such as trap crops around the edge of your veg crops to attract away, such as white radish, which is quick, but you need to keep planting that continually, obviously, because it's ready quickly. Plant it out later in the season so they will go or be elsewhere, and encourage them elsewhere to feed. So that helps that. Encourage natural predators and beneficial insects such as praying mantis. We've spoken of that. In America, you can buy those. Although they actually eat the ladybirds and some of the other good insects. So watch that. Brown-orchid wasp. So, oh yes, some of the nematodes you were talking about. Soldier beetles. Arachnid fly and other things like this. Plant tansy to repel cucumber beetles. That's supposed to work really well. Plant tansy. Try natural tobacco, garlic tea, or peppermint. These also help. What else have I got notes on? Grasshoppers and locusts, they eat your leaves and they make your land bare, they clear the land and they can also damage spruce and pine trees and irises, the flowers. If they're nibbled down or brown on the edge, that can often be the locusts or grasshoppers or anything such as those. To keep them away, grow tall plants which they will first seek, which is why like your sweet corn gets infestation if there's anything like locusts. So large sunflowers, that's actually a good thing to put around everything, around the borders if you've got quite a small area of land. What else? Yes, next to grass and waste areas see the most damage because they attract them. But as they dry out, the hoppers move on, which we've seen in locust plagues, haven't we? They literally wipe everything out. So keep grass and waste areas mowed, and also the same obviously to deter snakes. And if you've got a severe problem of grasshoppers or locusts or anything like that, use netting before the hopper seasons. How are we doing? Broccoli we've spoken of, the flea beetle. These are dark blue or black pests and they eat small circular holes in the leaves of young plants. Seedlings are of course particularly vulnerable. They're most active in fine weather during mid and late spring. In winter, keep your wood piles and rubbish to a minimum as they like it there. They feed on weeds, e.g. things such as shepherd's purse and charlock, so keep your garden weed free. Also cabbage caterpillars, birds, cabbage aphids, cabbage weevil, clubroot, downy mildew and ring spots are things broccoli can have. They're affected by the same diseases as other members of the cabbage family, such as cabbage root fly. The maggots of these are grey flies and they're active from late spring until late summer. They're usually 3 generations of adults in just one season. The maggots emerge from eggs laid by female flies and then burrow into the roots. They chew off the side roots of brassicas, leaving only the tap roots. The infested plants will have wilted, faded leaves, particularly in dry weather. The plants will either die or become stunted and yield poor crops. Because the female flies are attracted to the smell of the freshly planted brassicas, mulch the area with fresh compost, which smells stronger. So this is the same as when we say use garlic or chili or onions around things. You're detracting things with the smell. Welcome if you just joined me. I see we have more viewers. We're just talking about bugs, problems, and I'm just reading some things I've saved, gradually built up ideas of how to get rid of different bugs naturally. So I'm just reading out all my notes for you. Caterpillars, more on caterpillars. To stop caterpillars transferring on the ground, we've said before, use eggshells. Drop any found caterpillars into buckets of water using gloves or dustpan and brush, and also use coffee granules in the area, either on the ground or sprinkled as well on the leaves. Again, the smell stops them. They don't like them. Obviously, if you've got chickens or something, these will eat all your caterpillars. The cabbage caterpillars feed on leaves and quickly strips them bare. You'll see that if you suddenly got no leaves, just the stems of the leaves, this is more likely what you have. These pests are the larval stage of the cabbage butterfly and the cabbage moth. The cabbage butterfly lays yellow eggs in clusters on the leaves. They're just like little tiny yellow droplets. They produce green caterpillars that feed on the heads and leaves until they're skeletonized. The caterpillars foul the remaining leaves with excrement. The caterpillars The caterpillars of the cabbage moth are light green at first, changing to dark green, brown or black as they mature. They're more difficult to control than the cabbage butterfly caterpillars, as they burrow into the heads of the sprouting broccoli and not always discovered until too late, or if not constantly inspecting your plants. Yes, Mid-South Homestead says, I use the towel fabric for broccoli, no worms at all. Yeah, netting of any form, that's definitely the best solution. It's so much easier, isn't it? You just don't have to worry. Depends how big your land is, doesn't it? I mean, I can't afford to get loads of netting, but if I could, that would be my answer. I've seen a lot of people build these big netted cages as well, which looks good. To stop cabbage worm from cabbage white butterfly that strip the leaves bare, and again, look under the leaves when seeing the butterflies. If you see butterflies floating around in the sky around your plant, you definitely have now got the eggs. It's a bit late. Yeah, I've got here, you can make butterfly netting. Just build a simple wooden frame and tie to the ground. Make sure there are no gaps. So if you're laying netting just over, as you've said, Mid-South Homestead, use a clothespin or a clothes peg, or like a bulldog clip, I think you call them, like the big metal clips that you hold paperwork together, anything like that. Plants like astrachan lure butterfly away, so anything like that will lure the butterflies. And again, as we said a few times, plant nearby distraction plants you don't want, or let the bugs go on there. So find things butterflies like, put all your flowers around the edge. Corn worm, I don't have a lot on that. They're basically the grubs that you find on your sweet corn ears. So that's corn worm. I think I'll be doing a video on that when my sweet corn's at a bigger growth stage, because obviously I want to talk about dragonflies. This is to encourage dragonflies. It's not really a pest. Don't worry about that one. I'll do that as another video. Fruit flies, how to deter them inside and outside. So you want to get a small jar, fill with 1/3 of white vinegar, or cider vinegar is actually better because it's fruity, 1/3 of water, 1 drop of washing up liquid, dish soap, cover with cling film, put like an elastic band on the neck of the jar, use a toothpick to make a hole, make it a little larger than the actual toothpick hole. And basically that's how it is. Instead of vinegar, you can use really any fruity substance, like anything rotting or fruit. And then you can also cover with wax paper, but put your hole in there, so that will encourage them in there, but they will die. Or you can have water, house flies you can spray with alcohol in a spray bottle. You can do 1 cup every day of water on your mini oranges, lemons and sweet limes. So if there's a little bit of water on there, that will get rid of the fruit fly. Ladybirds, they're attracted to marigolds and alyssum. I've said this already. So you should plant your vegetables by these plants to attract the ladybirds, as they will eat the predators such as aphids and other damaging bugs that will go to these plants rather than eat your vegetables, like the harlequin bugs. Oops. Mosquito repellent, catnip. Cats love the plant as much as mosquitoes hate it, which would say something about its effectiveness. It's a perennial herb which belongs to the mint family and is easily grown. So there's that. One thing to keep in mind is that while catnip will repel the mosquitoes in close proximity to the plant, You can protect your body from unpleasant bites by applying a few crushed catnip leaves or catnip oil for more robust protection. You should also bear in mind that cats will respond to the catnip, whether it's on you or in a pot, as soon as they smell it. So if you're not a cat lover or you don't want cats in your garden, don't use that. Lemongrass is also good for mosquitoes. The lemongrass with its lemony smell, and I use lemon geranium. That's what I use with the little pink, purple flowers. But lemongrass can be grown from seeds, although it's a long process. So it's best to just go and buy some. It's actually difficult to get in Cyprus. Marigolds, I think I've said marigolds already. So they're very good, particularly if you've got just a balcony or small container gardening, or put them around your open doors and windows. So they're very good. Really best to buy those so they're active immediately rather than from seeds. Onion fly, like a small grey housefly, it lays eggs in the spring and early summer on the neck of the bulb, on the leaves and in the nearby soil. When the larvae hatch from the late spring onwards, they tunnel into the plant tissues. Older plants can be attacked, but younger ones are more susceptible. The flies are attracted to freshly manured beds, so dig it in several weeks before sowing. And you can also get free on your onions eelworm, white rot, downy mildew, neck rot, soft rot, smudge, smut, grey mould, yellow dwarf, and schlop virus yellows. My name's Dawn, and I thank you so much for coming Mid-South Homestead. And I'll catch you another time. As I say, I'm going to come and look on your channel, see if you're there. And I'll say hi and subscribe to your channel. Thanks so much for joining me. All the best to you and have a great day. So continuing on, potato bugs and flea beetles. The damage is they eat potatoes and radish. The remedy is blend picked off insects with water. So get those insects off, blend them with some water, and then spray the plant with it. They won't go to their dead. Never grow potatoes near tomatoes. Never near each other, as they're from the same family, and so they attract the same problems like potato blight. Slugs and snails. They damage particularly carrots, anything really that goes in the ground. Some slugs burrow into roots or the ground and eat the actual carrots underground. Remedy, I've already said, crushed eggshells, but really small. You want them to be really sharp. You can also break down small clay pots. So if you've got any broken clay pots, these are great. There's a good way of using up old broken clay flower pots. Beer traps, we all probably know about beer traps and sunken yeast traps. I won't go into those because you probably all know those. To stop slugs and snails eating your carrots, put copper rings around the plants or containers. And for slugs, if you put a copper ring around the plants or containers they're growing in, it actually gives them off an electrical shock, which is really interesting. So obviously then you're going to have the birds coming to eat them, so you need to remove them. Or if you've got chickens, this is great. And again, if you can or if you want to, get chickens. Roaming chickens will eat and destroy, repel, clear eggs, and provide compost areas wherever they roam. Damage from slugs and snails is usually worse on wet, badly drained soil or where there's a lot of debris and leaf litter. You know you have them if there are rough holes in leaves and berries and silvery slime trails. Keep your garden clear and freely drained. Always check under flower pots and flower pot bases. Even if they're flat on the ground, guys, pick them up. There's always slugs underneath. They will hide in any damp areas and down any cracks, such as between wood slats. Earwigs. The remedy really for that is soy sauce in cups. They will crawl in and die, but make sure you empty those regularly. To stop snakes, sulphur around your house perimeter. When you see these snake sprays and remedies, a lot of them, that's all it is, it's sulphur. Cinnamon and clove essential oils and mixed with cedar or cedar, however you say it. And this also stops fleas, mosquitoes and ticks. So that's a good tip as well. That's the time. I've got a friend coming soon, so I'll do a few more. Squash bug, also known as stink bug. You can identify it by its flat, mothy looking, like a teardrop shape. And you'll see this, you'll find this, you'll see a dark seed looking eggs on the back of leaves in clusters. The babies look like tiny black dot spiders with legs much bigger than its body size. So it's all legs and a tiny little body. I think I've done a video on this. I have to check. The larger insect appears as a whiter teardrop as its body grows before darkening to a dark teardrop squash body shape as it develops. You may well see all the different life stages at the same time, so could have all of those things I've said or any of them. Remedy, lay out flat cardboard at night under which they will hide. Then in the morning, squash them and discard the cardboard. So that's a great tip. Guinea fowl are loud, but they eat your squash bugs along with ticks, flies and grasshoppers. Don't feed the guinea fowl too much grain or they won't go searching for grubs. Ducks and chickens and hens also eat them for a short time. Peppermint oil or peppermint ground up in 2 cups of water to about 1.5 cups of fresh mint leaves and stems in the blender with a couple of drops of peppermint oil, and then just strain that into a sprayer. For ticks, ticks can be deterred by lavender oil. Also rub ash into your dog and cat fur to deter ticks. Put ash with a thin amount of earth on top in a tyre as a dust bath for chickens. The ash will get under their feathers and stop their ticks and lice. Tomato hornworm. To identify it, it's a green caterpillar that looks like a leaf. It has a horn, like a curved up, like a thorn almost, on its tail. If you see what looks like coffee grounds in your leaves, it's probably from the tomato hornworm. The damage they do is mostly eating tomato and pepper plants. Remedy. Wasp eat these, so this is a good side of wasp. You can go out at night with a black light, flashlight, and they will glow. This is weird. You can do it. It's so much fun. You can easily find them and just pick them off then. Feed them to your chickens. That is one of chickens' favourite foods. I'll just do one more, guys, because as I say, my friend's going to be here soon. I'm literally in my office and I can see the driveway. But I want to switch off and everything. So, tomato fruitworm, identify. It's like a small light green grub or caterpillar. The damage it does is it burrows into tomatoes, making small black holes, eating through the tomato from the inside out, and it rots the fruit. And the remedy, well, wasps naturally eat these. Whitefly on tomatoes. Companion planting is your best remedy. I've talked about this nearer the beginning, particularly marigolds, which help repel whitefly, and also use marigolds in your greenhouse because that will help no end. Never grow tomatoes and potatoes near each other. We've said that, and that will give you the same problems like potato blight. Other tomato pests and diseases, you've got greenback, blotchy ripening, split fruit, stem rot, blossom end rot, virus diseases, tomato moth, eelworm, red spider mite, whitefly, tomato fruitworm, leaf mould, grey mould, water or ghost spot, potato blight, and Bacillium wilt. So there's a few little bits there, guys. I've got so much more. This was just really alive. As I say, my camera's playing up anyway. and to actually put all this is a lot to film. So what I'm going to do is I've started a series called Friends or Foe, so look at that in my playlist, and I'm going to do all this, each bug separately. So if it's ticks, I'm going to do a whole one, whatever is ticks, or broccoli, everything wrong for broccoli. So I'll be doing it as the pest and also for the growing. All these tips, I randomly throw some in all sorts of videos. So watch all my gardening ones and I'll say, oh, and by the way, a tip for this is blah, blah. So nice to meet you all, guys. I'm sorry if you haven't heard the fact that my view, what I can see of myself, was frozen from the start. So luckily I haven't been showing you anything, and I just hope my actual frame you can see is good. So all the best to you guys. Thank you so much. Oh, and some people have asked me to set up the super chat because you want to donate. That is now set up. So if you come on the live, that is available to you. And I'm actually going to do a big thank you in a special way to the first person that donates on my super chat. So thank you so much, guys. If you're new to my channel, please check it out, subscribe, and don't forget, hit the notification bell, because I'm never going to say when I'm popping up doing a live. They will be completely random. So all the best to you. And my phrase from Cyprus is Meraki.